welcome you to one more webinar of the MyData activities. And this one is a little bit a special one, as you will see. My name is Peter Janes. I'm the lead of the MyData Zurich hub. First of all, we are in the new branding of the MyData global activities. So it's the first time that we show in the new livery. And the second thing which is special today is it's a joint activity of the MyData Saar and MyData Zurich, as you can see. And it's a little bit a special stream, so it's on data ecosystems. Normally we are more on the privacy topics, but this one is on data ecosystems, which is a little bit more open. With that said, I jump right into it. This is actually the previous logo of MyData, and it shows very well where your personal data is found. It's all around the world, and it's just to make you aware that you should be a little bit careful with your personal data. And this is a very old graphic with my personal annotations. So why are we doing these human-centric activities in the MyData space? So you might remember at the beginning, everything was very API-centric and a little bit chaotic. Everything was connected with everything. And my personal annotation is I called that the data stone age. And then with the progressing large companies, all of a sudden, we had the Googles and Facebooks of this world running all these big server farms. So it became organization-centric. And that's what I personally call the data middle age. And the human was always at the side. And the idea of MyData is primarily to make things human-centric. And that's where we're getting into privacy by design if we enforce that. Few words about the MyData Zurich hub. We were founded at the beginning of 2019, and it's closely related to the Swiss Data Alliance. And the president of the Swiss Data Alliance is André Gollier, who happens to be my colleague on the MyData activities as well. And we have a little bit of special setup here in Switzerland. So under the MyData name, we are doing more the hands-on things. And André is more on the policy-making side in his role as Swiss Data Alliance president. So he's talking to the governments and other official bodies. And we are sharing the website with them. So we are hosted by the Swiss Data Alliance. We don't have a big website. We're more on LinkedIn. You will see that in a moment. The focus is, as I said, on hands-on activities. That's why we are running these types of workshops. And we switched to LinkedIn at the beginning of this year. Before that, we were on Meetup, but LinkedIn is a little bit more convenient. And as I mentioned, we are mainly on LinkedIn. We have what LinkedIn calls an organization. And we also have a group. It's a little bit difficult to keep it apart in LinkedIn. And we also have a YouTube channel where we post all these videos which we are recording, so such as this one. So we have quite a number of them if you're interested in it. Some of them are in German, others are in English, mostly in German for the time being. And with that, I hand over to my colleague Sönke, who's co-hosting this event with me. Your floor, Sönke.
Yeah, essentially, MyData, we're another regional hub in the Franco-German border region. We're involving 4 organizations, and maybe somewhat unusually, we are also involved in a number of research projects. Geodata is one of them, and we have our own website where we just published a data literacy toolkit. And hopefully, we'll be in a research and applied research and innovation projects with our speakers today in the near future. So that's all I'm going to say today.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our planned activities. It's a little bit a mix of privacy and data ecosystems. So we are planning a few more on this series. Then I'm in contact about a webinar about patient data governance. So the healthcare sector is quite active. Then we are talking about another one in the healthcare sector about diabetes with representatives from different countries. I have one contact with whom I have to organize something about digital billing, and we are working on data literacy training material in the name of MyData right now. We just had our kickoff yesterday, but there are other activities. So stay tuned for our future activities. You can follow the LinkedIn, our LinkedIn organization. You can join the group, then you can stay posted. So some marketing for the MyData global organization. It's actually a non-profit global organization. And the main purpose, as I mentioned it already, is to provide a human-centric approaches. And there are principles. You can actually sign a declaration of MyData principles. As you can see, there's quite a number of persons and organizations who have already signed. So if you want to support their activities, then you can join MyData. You can find it very easily, mydata.org/join. You find all additional information there. So with that, I move on. And we are already with our agenda. So after our very short intro, we have two presenters today. I'm very grateful to have Marcel Duffhuis on one side, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and Wietse Balster, who are going to present us some very interesting experiences about their 3D models. Then we make it 1 hour. So after 1 hour, it's the official end of the webinar. But the presenters are available after that for those who still have energy and want to discuss and ask questions. So after this 1 hour, you can still ask questions. We just stop the recording, but we have some more time planned for that. With that, I mentioned the names already. Marcel comes from the city of Utrecht, is information manager there, and Wietse is from the city of Amsterdam, and he's the product owner of the 3D Amsterdam. And I'm pretty sure they give you a much better introduction than I can do that. And with that, thank you very much for supporting our activities. And the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I will introduce myself, but you did it already, and it's a combination presentation because I have only a small story, and Wietse is going to show some figures, and I'm not sure if it's also a live demo, but it's a nice presentation. But my name is Marcel Duffhuis, information manager in the municipality of Utrecht. Thank you that we can share our experience and our development with our vision about a digital twin, because when you search on digital twin, yeah, you get a lot of hits. And what is a digital twin? So, but we have today we have a small story what we think about the digital twin and how we use it and how we develop with a digital twin. The base of our vision is we collect already a lot of years and also today a lot of data. That data is to use for a few people because it's pretty difficult to understand what means this data about this area. So that means that I think 2-3 years ago, Amsterdam and Utrecht said, is it possible to make a visualization of data, geodata and other kinds of data, and then we can make data information for more people? Because when we can make a visualization, and in this way it's a 3D visualization in a digital twin, it's participate data for a lot of discussions what you have in a city or in an area, and it's much easier because of Mr. Google and with Google Maps. A lot of people know now already what can we do with a 3D model and how can we use Google Maps to find some things or to understand what's happening over there. So that means that that we started 2 years ago in a kind of joint venture between Amsterdam and Utrecht to develop a digital twin. And the digital twin is mostly based on national data sets, because in Holland we collect a lot of spatial data about buildings, about areas, about quality. And when you make a combination of that data in a digital twin, yeah, what we can do now, we have a digital twin based on real data. So it's not in a fictive world like a gaming, but it's in a real world. The reason, that's what we also have to tell about what kind of platform do we use. We use a gaming platform, and the last 10 or 20 years we use GIS applications like Esri and Bentley and AutoCAD, and we still use that applications. But our experience now already is also that when you use a gaming platform, there are some standard features in it what we can use for free and very easy. And that's the reason why we choose for a gaming platform in this kind. We choose Unity, but maybe in a couple of years we choose for Unreal or something else. That doesn't matter. But we choose now for Unity because it's an easy platform. It's one of the biggest gaming platforms. And the other experience that we have now already, we connect a lot of students from universities and high schools because they are in an education, a gamification education way. So it's easy for us to develop things in this platform, because we don't know how to do it, and these first and second year students on the high schools and the universities, they are educated how to build, to program functionality in this gaming platform. So that means that we have now already let's say 3 years an experience with building with a digital twin. We use it in Utrecht mostly for urban planning. And Wietse is going to show some things in the presentation, because now we have a digital twin of the real world on this moment. And with our urban planning for the coming years, we can connect the digital twin on this moment. And what we like to do in the future, simulations, what happens when this new area in the city, what happens to the real world? What's the connection and what's the simulation? And what kind of decisions can we make when we know it in the simulation, what's going to happen? So that means we can reduce failure cost with big planning projects. And but we are in the middle of this experience. It's not the true, and we use it on this moment. And it's what I already said. We do this with Amsterdam and also a couple of months now already with Rotterdam in Holland. That's the story I want to tell, and I want to switch to Wietse because he's going to show some things, and then we can discuss about the digital twin, what we built in Holland, and what we like to show you in this podium.
Thank you for hosting this and invited us for telling what we're doing in the Netherlands. Marcel mentioned not only Amsterdam, not only Utrecht, not only Rotterdam, but really one project and really on a pragmatic way as well. My name is Wietse Balster. I work as a product owner on this product, 3D Amsterdam it was called before. Now we have a name Netherlands 3D because we're aiming for the whole Netherlands. So we have a big dream to make tools that can be put into place in other municipalities as well. And we're working on it for the last 3 years now. So that's a little bit of insight in how long this development took us. Bridging the gap, geodata and gaming. The gap is, I think, very clear if I look at the ones who have their camera open and the ones that play games. There's in 2022 more than 3 billion people playing games online. Normally I would ask to raise hands. We can do it digitally, but I think there's a lot of people playing games, not only in this group, because probably we're more in a GIS background or geodata background, but as you see in the right spot, the playing games is not only done by 16-year-old students. It's done by a lot of people in a lot of different ages, and both men and women. So there's a huge opportunity to get these people inside, and while they're playing, they know how to interact with the computer and with other people. So this tooling, these games that are being developed, is really a nice way to also interact with geodata. So that's why we're on this track, like combine these two geodata on the one side and the gaming technology on the other side, and we're trying to implement or to combine these two. So what are we doing? Our approach, we don't look at use cases, not that much at least for the beginning. We have a question. Hey, I want to solve a problem in our organization. And what do? Is we look at the geodata. What kind of type is it? Not if it's about trees, but what kind of type it is. And then we're going to try to include it in our gaming engine. So if somebody wants to disclose a DXF, like a CAD program, we're not interested in if it's a building or a tree, but we're looking at the DXF, and we make a functionality. I will come to that later. We call it features. We're going to make it for DXF. So we're not only limited to this only use case that approaches us, but we're opening it to a lot more people who have the same questions and using DXF. So this is a little bit the approach that we're taking. And what do? We develop an interactive 3D tool. First of all, internal, because that was the assignment. But we want to open it for the citizen, and I think that's really connecting to the MyData organization as well. Like the people are centered, and this is also a feature of the gaming. I think 50–60% of all the games use some kind of first person in their game, and we want to put the user central. So it should be interactive, and you should be able to walk through your data, your geodata. So that's the things that you can do wonderfully by using this gaming technology. And we build features. We want to download the data as well through this. Well, we now have a website, but we can also make an app or a VR environment. But we want to make it interactable, not only by persons, collaborate. We all know the Miro platform. That's our vision of building this 3D as well. Like you can work together in a 3D planning environment, but also make it more interactable in persons, but also in data. So you want to download it and you want to upload also your own data, and then the geodata formats come in place as well. Like what kind of data is there? Well, we started with OBJ models, so any program, SketchUp or CAD, can exchange their model or export their model to OBJ. So that's fairly common file format. So that's the first one we hosted. So you can now upload your OBJ formats quite easily in the web browser. Of course, we do have this GIS background. So we also want to link to information. But more, we want to let the user link to information. So we want to make functionalities or features that you can do it yourself. Put the end user at the buttons. The good thing about gaming is it's very realistic, very recognizable, and that's one key. It's like a unique selling point. The water in a 3D world, Marcel mentioned in either the two bigger gaming engines like Unity or Unreal, you can make it look like water, and that is really appealing to a lot of people, not only the geo nerds, so to say, but to a wide audience, and that's attractive. We're aiming for the whole Netherlands. I mentioned. I come to that later. I have a slide about the functionalities that we're developing, and we do it all open. So if you have the same data input, you can use it in Switzerland or Belgium or even in Australia. It's all open on GitHub. What we're doing, we're using a gaming technology that is closed source, but everything we make is open data and open source. And the reusable components is, like I said, the key of this development. I put a progress bar, and we're somewhere on the left side. I think way after I will go to retirement, this will be a development that is going on. And there's a lot of dependencies. We're aiming now for WebGL. WebGL will be outdated. How will web browsers host gaming technology in the future? We don't know. So there's a lot of dependencies. So we have to work agile as well. Like we have to adjust to this kind of dependencies. We're using Unity because we had a little experience with Unity. The step in Unity is a little bit better, at least that's our opinion, than Unreal. And Unity has WebGL. At the beginning of this project, Unreal didn't have this opportunity. So that's why we choose for Unity, but you can do it in other game engines as well. There's also some nice open source developments going on. So go ahead and try it yourself. It's not that hard to do. And the geodata is mostly already there. Do it yourself. I mentioned it a couple of times. That's really our aim. Let the end user decide what data he or she wants to show in this program. And we're only facilitating by the features. plug and play. It should be so easy to use that even, well, my son is 7 years old. He's way better in navigating through this world than I am. So it should be that easy as well. Interactive experience, that's the bonus you get with gaming technology. If I want to see the shadow of a new high-rise building that is not ready built yet, but already in this digital world, I want to put the camera position on my balcony, set the sun at 4 o'clock in the afternoon where I drink my beer on the balcony and see what's the effect. And then I can really interact with the municipality. That's already possible. That's not that hard to do in this kind of technologies. And another pro about this well, Unity, but gaming engines in common, is that you build it one time. Therefore, you need a license. That's, well, with Unity, it's $1,800 a year. So it's really peanuts comparing to the bigger GIS companies. But then you make an export to the product you want. It can be web, it can be mobile, AR, VR. So, and that's all free to use because it's your own property. So you can have thousands of users at the same time, and it's all on your account. So that's, yeah, also a reason why we're trying to do this development. There's 2 in yellow boxes. That was what I want to tell a little bit more about. Next slide is visually appealing. I think you all know this person at the right side. It sells and it's attractive. And I know from experience that if you do a presentation and you show something nice, people are more enthusiastic about it and probably more willing to pay for it as well. Well, we're a non-profit organization, so that's in our case not the case. But yeah, it's just like an urban plan. If it looks nice, it's already a bonus. And you can do a lot of nice visually things. This is some examples. It's from Amsterdam. What we did with Unity, yeah, you can really show on very detailed level your street furniture in place. What will happen if we design this one? If a bench is 4 meters long or 3 meters long, what will happen? You can sit on the bench. Yeah, you can make better decisions. And right side, it's everybody who's arriving in Amsterdam by train arrives probably at the central station. There will be a huge underground parking place for bikes, and it was all put in 3D. Normally, it's only very complicated technical drawings, but to put it in a 3D world, you can really interact, you can walk, and there's a lot of new insights that say, hey, we shouldn't do this or we should do this to put it in this interactive worlds. Another example, cables and pipelines. It's on a 2D map perfectly. Everybody can see what's going on. But if you put it in a 3D world, in a gaming technology, you can make features like AR. You can walk on the street with a goggle or with your iPad, and you can see what's underneath. Those techniques is already existing in the gaming world, and we have all the benefits of it. We don't have to ask feature requests from bigger GIS companies. We can do it ourselves or buy it online if the feature is already there in a store. Features, I mentioned it a couple of times. We have a lot of activities in Amsterdam city. We have events as well, Zehle, or in Utrecht the Vuelta, or in Rotterdam the Marathon. We want to do something with crowd management. We want to monitor and steer the crowd from one point to another point. Usually, traditionally, what happens is we ask a company to do this for us. So we send in some data and they make a nice tool, and that's it. And this tool will cost us 15,000, 20,000 euros. But then it's gone. And the next event, we have to do it all over again. So that's a shame. That's a waste of money, we think. So why not make a tool that is multi-usable? You can reuse it, not only in Amsterdam, not only in time, so next year or this year, but also in other cities. And this is a little bit what we're hoping for by working together with Rotterdam now, of course with Utrecht, and other cities are interested as well. If we can put these features in place in those cities as well, yeah, we can really share. We can really build this bigger platform, and we can reuse the functionalities or the features that are made in Utrecht. We can use in Amsterdam as well because it's on the same base plate. So that's very good. And I will go a little bit quick through these slides because I can talk for 2 hours about this and show you live demos. Maybe after I can do that, but for now I'm going to quickly make the connection between the geodata on the one side and the benefits of the gaming technology on the other side. This is an example. We do have a traffic junction designers. I don't know if it's the right translation, but what they do, they have this closed source software on their computer, and they can make the simulation. What will happen if the traffic light will be on green, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds? What will be the effect? And the outcome is a big table with numbers. If you want to show that to the decision makers or the audience that live in the neighborhood of this junction, nobody will understand. So what we did, we tried to see, okay, what kind of geodata is this? And how can we get it and drag and drop it in this website? And then we can really visualize the data on a way that people can understand. This is one of the benefits that cannot be done by other programs, I think, unless you buy the program itself. It's called Visum, and then buy an additional a solution for this. But this is very easy. So everybody in the Netherlands who uses Visum makes an export and can show this on the same way, and we can really share. Another one, WMTS, WMS services, geoservices. Yeah, we have developed some kind of tool that really drops down like a blanket on the table, this data, and you can really visualize it in a 3D world. And we do have a lot of open free data. It's called PDOK. You can see it on the left side. There's a lot of open data sets that are provided in this format, in this file format. It's not to us what kind of data it is, but it is to us what kind of data file format it is. And if we can do this so general, yeah, you can use your own data and you can really plug and play it yourself. And I think that's a nice example as well. Another example, we have APIs from the sewer system. It's also a nationwide data set. What you can see here is an Amsterdam data set. On the left side, this is what we offer. We have a data hub in Amsterdam, lots of nice data sets, but it's all for the geo nerds. I want to use it as an urban planner or somebody working with this data. I want to visualize it. I want to put it in my CAD system or in my SketchUp system, but I cannot use this kind of APIs because I don't have the knowledge. So what we did is we made a tool that we obtain this API, and then we read out the parameters of these pipelines and then visualize it and make it really 3D geometry as well and put it in this 3D environment. Together with the other functionality for downloading it, I can download it and I get the real shapes and the real 3D geometry to put in my SketchUp or in my CAD system. So this is a way we're using this gaming technology to interoperability kind of way that we're trying to use this kind of tools to make it easier for more people than only this specialist. I mentioned downloading. This is by cubes, 3D cubes. You can download objects. You can choose if you want the buildings or the servers or the underground assets as well. You can see the cube here. That's to make it easier. It's a minimal viable product was the cube. But now we're making a lasso tool that you can really make selections by polygon and select your own area of interest. And then you can use it. You can put it to Blender. You can 3D print it. You can put it in your CAD system. So we're like delivering the data in a way that the end user can use it in their own program. We can do it more seriously as well. You can really put your OBJ models in place where you want, on coordinate or not, or in the digital world. And you can really simulate solar system, sound, anything that you want to program, you can add to it. And if it's 1 or 2 buildings, you can really see the scenarios and to think ahead. What's the benefits if we ask an architect or more architects to come up with a plan, with an urban plan or an architectural plan for a new development area? Normally we get these booklets with nice pictures with blue skies, and how can you compare them? But if you offer the same environment and oblige the people that are willing in this context or participating in this contest to upload their models in this world, you can really compare it to the same background. And that's also a key thing, that you can really have a more objective solution for new developments. You can do it for the whole urban area as well. To close, what's next? This is only a small portion of what's next, but this is, I think interesting for this group of listeners probably. We want to go underground. There's a lot of nationwide available data sets of the underground, the assets in the underground, but also the soil, how do you say it? Well, the soil in the ground, if it's clay or sand or whatever. We want to disclose it, and it's perfectly to show in a 3D world. We now offer a little bit of file formats to interact with this tool, and we want to make it more wide, preferably OGC standards. But if there's a exotic file type which is really in demand, we can do that as well. Timeline, it was mentioned, I think, previously. We do have a timeline developed. It was also a student who did it. So we can have a general tool with a timeline, and you can add your own information to it, your own CSV file format. If there's a one column with timestamps, you can visualize it. If there's also OBJ objects of like a planning tool, you can combine it with the timeline, and you have really an open source web tool to show the planning of a project in your area of interest. And that's the timeline is really it's going to be big in the next year. We're using it now for a little project, but because we made it so general, we can use it more often. The free shape selection tool I mentioned before, we can select a little area of interest and get the specific data from that area, also through APIs or for downloading. So it's like a multi-usable tool as well. It's not only, it's not really our business to improve the models, the 3D models, but we did do that also with AI techniques. We have point clouds. We have a lot of point clouds of buildings, or even for the whole city. We bought a point cloud for the whole city. And we want to see if we can have more details of buildings, like the underpasses or the balconies hanging out of the buildings. That's very important to make to use in other solar questions that we have in the city, or urban heat, or those kind of questions. We need more detail. So we're touching a little bit on that part as well. Although we think it should be nationwide, there should be a solution for this as well with the schooling or the universities or the other bigger companies. And about the project itself, what we're aiming for is like a community. We want to share tool and knowledge and receive them back as well eventually. So if there's people who are interested in this development, contact us. And it doesn't matter if it's in Zurich or Australia, because we have teams and we can all use GitHub. We really like to get people involved and also get the benefits from this. And what we're doing now, we started with 3D Amsterdam, Utrecht came along, we made a copy. Now Rotterdam comes along and we shouldn't make those copies. We really should make like a Lego plate, a base plate of a 3D world, and then plug in what you want for a specific purpose. And that's what we're doing now. So we're really getting these functions or these functionalities out of the 3D Amsterdam environment and make them separately available as well for other users. More information can be found here. This is recorded. I can also share it in the chat for people who want to see what I've been telling about. I think that's for my part. I don't know if it was 15 minutes, but I tried my best. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Wietse. I'm just so impressed. It looks so nice. You were talking about Netherlands 3D. Actually, you should go for EU 3D. And I hope that Switzerland will be part of the EU, or at least somehow contribute. So just one word of housekeeping. I'll publish this video on our channel. I'll send it to the participants. I mentioned our channel. You'll find it on LinkedIn, and also attach your presentation so you can find everything there. and I usually add this information to this YouTube recordings. Takes a little bit until I have edited it, can take 1 or 2 weeks, but that will be made available. So thank you very much again. That was really very impressive. So 3D is always fantastic. Congratulations to your great project. So I'm pretty sure there are tons of questions. The floor is open for questions. For those who have questions, I have tons of questions, but I would like to give you the chance to ask questions. I think everybody's totally impressed.
So I don't have a question, but an announcement, because we still use Esri software and we still use AutoCAD and Bentley, but those are all platforms. But we also have to pay serious license money, and we can't share it with all our citizens of environments. And we use this digital twin to make a combination about analysis in Esri software, but we like to view it in the digital twin, so we can share it with everyone.
I'll certainly have a look at your GitHub site. Honestly, I want to play around with it by myself. It's usually the time problem. I have to spare some time on other projects. But I was wondering where I should get the data from. So, so how did you get your data sources? How did you start with that?
We're very lucky that we have the TU Delft, who made 3D Bach, and Bach is like a buildings model in level of detail 2.2. So it's quite neat already, and it was made for the whole Netherlands. So we can use this one. It's in city JSON file format, so it's an open format as well. And we were able to use this one. And the Dutch Cadastre, they made out of stereo photos a 3D model of the surface, and that's also publicly available. The problem is that it's available in big chunks of I think city JSON as well, and one file is like 400 MBs, and you have to do something with it. Nobody can use it, and that's a big complaint. But we also made the tools to make it in little chunks of 100 by 100 meters, so we can really stream it as well in the website, and it's available there. So we were very lucky in the beginning, 3 years ago, as I mentioned, that we started this project. None was there, so we tried it ourselves, but it's not our task. Our task is to make these features for the end user. That's how we see it. So we were very lucky that this is a big beginning already, and I'm sure that maybe in Switzerland some similar movements are there as well. Like the national government is making these data sets available, and I hope this is something that the EU also will come up with, like some kind of basic standard data.
Yeah, the reality in Switzerland is, we have 26 cantons, and every canton does its own thing, and every community does their own thing. And usually then after a while they realize they should better join the effort. So I could imagine it's by canton. I'll certainly try it. What would be your cookbook, or what was your initial driver to do that? That's what was your trigger?
We had a hackathon 3 years ago to investigate if this was in demand. And it was also a little bit tricked by the Dutch Environmental and Planning Act that will be coming here. It's called in Dutch the Omgevingswet. And there they say 2 important things. We have to improve as a government in total. We have to improve communication and participation ways. And the other thing is the same information position. So we as a government should base our decisions on the same data that the people of the Netherlands can see this data. So we have to be clear about what data we use for certain decisions. So those 2 things, we tried, okay, can we use this gaming technology for the interaction and the participation? We did a hackathon and everybody was really enthusiastic. And actually that was the beginning.
So you started 3 years ago with the gaming platform. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Well, sorry. Yes, correct. In this project, but we had a little bit advantage of one colleague who was enthusiastic about using this gaming technology and who already did some 3D modeling in this gaming technology. So we had an enthusiastic colleague who started it. He's not part of the team anymore, unfortunately. But that was the trigger. We were able to show already some nice things about this gaming technology before we started it and before we were able to do this with an assignment.
Yeah, you know, I mentioned my colleague André Gollier, the president of the Swiss Data Alliance. Actually, he happens to be the father of hackathons, or data hack days, as he calls it, here in Switzerland. So he has smart city hack days, he has legal hack days, he has smart farming hack days, all tons of hack days, energy hack days. So, and I'm supporting him in this. So actually, that's a good idea. We should have some 3D or Geodata hack days. So I'll talk to him and I might reach out to you how to get that off the ground. That would be really fantastic. And just as a side note, you know, I'm enthusiastic about these things. And in '97, we had a festivity here in the Baden region. We have more than 1 million visitors. It takes about 10 days, and it's every 10 years actually. And in '97, I was supporting, and even by then we got some geodata from some official body, so the data should be around. So I remember that, as you mentioned, that there could be some data, but I think it's proprietary formats. But that's more my personal experience. But I don't want to be the one who talks all the time. So there's certainly tons of other questions. Any other questions? You can open your microphone and just ask your questions. I think the audience is small enough.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Whoever is still here and has any kind of comment or question, just go ahead. Because it's a fairly rare opportunity to actually talk to the people who do this stuff, I think. And while we wait, maybe, I do have a question. I'm sure we'll talk about it in the future too. Like, how do you actually get from using gaming for an exciting kind of interactive visualization and moving into a kind of use where these twins aid in decision making? But let's hold off on that because we have a question from somebody new.
No, actually, you literally asked what I was about to ask. Like, how do you plan to take it ahead to make some addressable problems that are being faced? So how do you see it going ahead?
Marcel, can you answer this from a Utrecht perspective?
Now, at the beginning, we have to discuss this kind of technology with our decision makers, because now it's a little bit technology pushed. So it's not we don't solve big problems with this platform on this moment, but we needed this time to have a base platform to show some things about in our discussions with our decision makers and our stakeholders. But now we can show our digital twin world and our future plans. Now they come with new questions. Can you solve this, or can you view this? So first we had to make this kind of this level of the digital twin, and now we are busy with finding the problems. But in the beginning, in Utrecht, we use it for saving money with early making the right decisions, because now we can show it in a 3D world. And we had also some projects in the past that we were building already, and then we saw, oh, this is not the way to do it. But now we can make a simulation also with the traffic, and now we can simulate and simulate in scenarios. So we can show it to our decision makers. Then you can choose this scenario, and then you see this, and so we can all do it now in a fictive world. So we solve we save money with this, but we don't have the real problems what we can solve with it. That's true, because we are in the beginning of this digital twin experience.
Peter,
So, and we don't save, we save on this moment a lot of money, but we have some small things where we say, okay, you can show us now already in 3D. So now we see also where are collisions in the underground, where we can provide in the future. Maybe Wietse has another example.
No, I think you said it well. This is just the beginning of finding the right use cases, and we are trying to find them, or we are finding them with urban heat islands, for example. We can calculate the heat on the 3D models of building. What kind of material is on the building? How will it absorb heat? And what's the design decision behind it if we want to improve our cities to be resilient about this heat, against this heat. So we're now really finding this use case, and with these tools we can more easily and uniform trying to find the answers.
So as you're mentioning these heat models, so I can imagine you mentioned the shadow of the large buildings, which is basically from the shape, but from the heat, I would assume you need some physical features of these objects. So
correct.
Do you have them? So you have the type of material and the reflection, heat reflections and things like that?
We do have them, not on a Amsterdam scale, and it's most in reports. So we still have to make data schemes out of it to really make use of them. But in Rotterdam, they're now busy with actually this question. So we want to calculate the best solution for a certain area that they want to develop, which is the best for the least, how do you say it, heating up of this area.
So you have to capture the material features first to run these simulations then?
It's theoretically, but at least it gives insight. And it cannot be done now. I mean, it's now also theoretically, but you can at least show what's going on. So that's very good. And also this is exactly what we're searching for as well. Like there's a lot of private companies which are specialized in these kind of questions, answering these kind of questions. And these are the companies we want to bring along in this development, or let them make these tools that fits as a Lego block on this base plate, so we can really use this as a tool for more than only Amsterdam or more than only Rotterdam.
I see. So you're providing a sort of plugins, and they are providing the use cases.
In some cases, yes, we did a nice acquisition with a company in Utrecht, and they made it. And they also are searching, because their profit is selling or making it one time for a municipality and sell it in the Netherlands 340 times. So it's really like a new approach as well. But they made it open source for Utrecht, and we in Amsterdam can make use as well for this. And if we have questions, it's more on knowledge that we ask this company to help us out than on buying features or software.
Yeah. So it brings me to a question which I had all the time. So that the whole funding, how was it funded at the beginning? And do you already have business cases, how it's basically funded by itself? So by these services, for example?
We didn't really have the business cases. The only business case was this law that was behind us, and we had a budget out of this law to make tools to do the participation and communication. So that's why we were able to get a developer, which is a very good developer, and he really helped us out. And more is really on the normal workload of our team.
And the law, what exactly does the law state? So you have to have this modeling available?
In 10 years from 2 years before, so in 8 years from now, if it's all going, it's a law that is a bit complicated in execution. So I don't know if it's going to be effective in 8 years from now. But it says, yes, there should be a 3D model which discloses all data of the national government and the local governments in a way that a civilian can really understand what's going on and really want to know what's going on a certain place in their environment, or what can be done or cannot be done on a certain place. All those information should be disclosed in 3D platform. That's what the law says, but nobody knows how. So that's why we're able to fund this project. Okay, let's find this way with gaming technology, if this is a solution.
Yeah,
and now, Peter, sorry to interrupt. Now we're really finding or trying to find more business cases. Correct.
Yeah, and this law also says that you can communicate with the government in 3D models. And now we are not prepared as a municipality of Utrecht, but also not as a municipality of Amsterdam. We only can use in our processes 2D models. So with this law, we have to try to get in a 3D world. So otherwise, the problems become bigger, because private partners, they say, I have a nice 3D model. Can we build it in the city? Yes or no? And yeah, on this moment, we don't have the right tooling in the municipality to make the right decision. So that's also a reason why we push this technology to see. So we have to change, we have to transform in this world, because the law is gonna sue us otherwise in a couple of years. That we have to use this kind of technology. So that's the reason why we started already. And in Utrecht, it's all funded by city environments, new areas, projects in the city, but it's not. It's only temporary money. So now we are finding that we can say the transforming to the digital twin area in our processes. Yeah, that's what we have to gonna organize in the coming years, because we have to. Otherwise, the gap between the participants and the government becomes bigger, and that's not what we want.
We should have such a law as well, I think. That
Marcel,
would help.
Are you aware of any effort to use this for like an architectural award process or something? Because we just went through this here, and it was exactly the traditional process that you described, these fat dossiers plus a wooden model. And to require people who basically submit to public tenders to have an interactive model instead, so the jury process could involve the kind of scenario development that you have described. Are you aware of any effort to include this? Because I think this would help understand a lot of people what the benefits are of having such an approach.
You are completely right, and we have with some people the same discussion. We burning money every day at our municipality, but now we have to involve our decision makers with what we are doing right now. So and that's also why we need the position what we have now with our digital twin. Now it's much easier for us to make that to start that discussion, because now we can show the digital twin, and now also we can show that we can use simulations, and we can use 3D models, and we can use building information models, because the rest of the world is using that. How can we make a connection with that and save a lot of money, because we can save serious money when we make this right connection. But it's we are in the middle of that discussion right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not easy.
Yeah, I imagine. But great.
I think can I add something? Because I think it's two ways. It's both a technical problem, like BIM models that architects use cannot be hosted in a GIS. A GIS is the world, and then make it smaller, and BIM is from the littlest asset making a building. That's a technical problem to interact with those two. We cannot make a city model up to the detail of the toilet seats in all buildings. That's impossible. So we have to find a technical solution. And that's also what Marcel said, organizational. I think we might be as a government might be more strict on what we're asking when an architect is applying with a building, maybe we have to change our bylaws, that we're not comparing on basis of 2D floor plans, or make scenarios of if there's a fire, we have to check it for giving a permit. We do it all based on 2D because we have to, because it's in our law that we have to do this. If we change this and we experiment with 3D automatically testing and running and so on, then we can use these 3D models of architects. And so it's yeah, I think it's a question of two answers.
I think it's like with many new things. So it's, first of all, you need to raise the awareness, then you need to do some education, then you can show something. You have it fortunately already, and then you can start pilot projects, and then you can move on from there. And the most difficult part is typically in the digital transformation. It's not the technology, it's the human part. It's the mindset shift. As you mentioned, they're still thinking in papers. Any other questions? We're nearing the official end, so we still can continue.
Anything else from the audience? Unfortunately, we can't see full names here, so maybe it's a bit impolite to... okay, that's a chat question.
What would you wish as smart city standard or norms to roll out this interactive approach? Standardization of data is the beginning. I think we're already aware of that. But the key to me is standardization of functionalities. It should be like a plug and play tool. And it doesn't matter if you use Unity or S3 software or QGIS software or whatever. It should be standardized, so you have choices. And I think that's the key to find the solutions, and we can build on this further. Is that a little bit answering your question, Oliver? Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Wietse, who do you think will be the driver of this kind of standardization? The public sector or a tech community?
Probably both, but we have an organization in the Netherlands that is working on standardization of data. Not yet tools, but I think they're investigating if that also should be part of their business. It's Geonovum in Dutch. I can share the link, or maybe Marcel can share a link. But they're the party who decides what's the standard of certain data sets and features as well later on. We're making a cookbook together with them about this approach, and then we'll see what comes from there. It's really in a pilot phase when it comes to features.
Because Peter, this might be something we take back to MyData. You probably all know that MyData, it has this awareness raising role, but it also is increasingly interested in building different types of data literacy. And while people often focus on the self-determined use of private data, it's equally important to think about this, standardization, regulatory context. Those are also part of some, broader understanding of data literacy. Like policymakers need to understand what they can do to create an enabling environment. And that's not just going to happen. I think we need to tell them, or those of us who know what they want to see happen to tell them. And so maybe this is something we can take back to the MyData community, because we've also seen, in Eurocities, in the Open and Agile Smart Cities Network, the German DEAN organization is preparing a smart city standard, etc. So this conversation has matured, beyond pilot use cases. So maybe this is a good time to get involved in this conversation. Peter, I think we can wrap it up and invite people to maybe follow up, and we'll definitely have another event around geodata use. But whatever else people want to say, I definitely want to thank the speakers for taking the time. We don't take this for granted. In Germany, you won't find very many people in the public sector willing to spend their, rare leisure time to get involved in an event like this. So many thanks from our side. Also, thanks to the participants who stayed for such a long time. And then maybe, Peter, you want to announce future events or wrap it up in some way?
Yeah, so many thanks from my side as well to both of you, also to Sönke, who established the contacts. if you are interested, as I said, we are on LinkedIn. You can follow our LinkedIn company. It's designed as a company, and then you'll be informed about our changes. And we will certainly have more events in this local data ecosystem stream together with Sönke. So again, many thanks for your time, for your contributions, and I'll certainly reach out to you when we do some hack days. And with that said, have a nice evening, everybody.